Whew. All right. I don't know why I'm nervous today. All right, welcome to my first official Thriftcast. That's just what I'm calling it today. I don't know if we'll think of something more clever. However, I was inspired by a video that was called a pencast about fountain pens, so I thought Thriftcast about thrifting would be completely unoriginal, however, kind of work in the situation. So here we are, and welcome. And you might notice that I'm in a new location. I decided I wanted a cozy spot when I did my Thriftcast. I decided to come up into my son Anthony's bedroom. He has like a nice gray wall. This is a very relaxed conversation style. I announced that I was going to be doing this video a few weeks ago now, and I keep putting it off because I don't feel like I have like the perfect format for it yet. And I don't have a guest speaker yet. There are a couple holes in what I want to do, but I decided to just rip the band-aid off and press record. And so that's what I'm doing today. I'm not going to do a designer deep dive. That's one of the things that's been holding me back. And I don't even know if I'll do it every week because I feel like there's a lot of research that goes into that. It just might delay how frequently I can get these videos out. But if I do a flip of the week, a flop of the week, some Q&A, read some of your comments, and then talk a little bit about what's going on in my own life at the end of each video, I might be able to produce those much faster. So for this video, we don't have a deep dive, but I promise it's gonna be a lot of fun. Why don't we get started with some comments, some feedback from you guys. I recently talked about the idea of entirely liquidating what I have for inventory and starting over, because I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary on Poshmark this August, and this July I turned 50. And I just feel like I wanted to do something exciting. I think I'm gonna start slowly and then we'll see where it takes us. The Beauty in It reseller commented, I love the idea of starting over. I have a lot of meh items that I got when I first started reselling and they clog up my inventory. That sounds familiar. I don't have access to Poshmark Live. Unfortunately, I feel like that would be a good way of getting rid of those items, at least for some money, but would love to hear how you are going to clear out. I think it would be very helpful. So I'm not sure why the Beauty in It reseller doesn't have access to Posh Live sales. I think it's because you have to go through training and get approved. I actually went through the training and then never went forward to ever do a Posh Live sale. But live sales are definitely part of what I want to do to liquidate, but that's not my main way. I think I will continue to do sales on Poshmark that I will mainly advertise for through YouTube and Instagram. And that could be just as easy as posting something to my stories that says, you know, today is a BOGO sale, or today 50% off all jackets and blazers. There are a lot of ways that you can be creative with sales. I know if you're an eBay seller, you can actually just set your eBay store for like sale mode. I also have this thing called Posher VA. It's a Chrome extension. I guess it's a bot, for lack of a better word, that shares my closet for me. And it also has the capability to send out offers. It's so worth the money. I have in the past run really successful sales by setting my Posher VA to send offers on items, say, that are more than 60 days old. And then I can send offers out for any percentage off. Oftentimes I'll take anything that's over a year old and I'll send out 50% off offers on anything that's over a year old. I think what I need to do in addition to that, though, in order to really liquidate, is once I do send out offers that way, the items that still aren't selling, I either need to relist or donate or pull to do in a live sale, or maybe send them off to consignment. But I have items that are in my closet that are still there from 2018, and it's just really time to stop not being systematic about it. I was just talking to someone, or I read a comment somewhere. I think they said after a certain amount of time, whether it's 6 months or a year, I can't remember the time frame, but when they relist an item, they drop the price $10. So I relist a lot, but I don't always drop the price. And that's a really good strategy. Like, well, if it's been listed for 6 months and it hasn't sold yet, I'm gonna drop the price on all of these items and relist it. And then I'll revisit that in another 6 months or 3 months and then drop it maybe $5 or $10 again until it sells. And that's a way of just moving things out. I also think that for a long time I was really focused on a huge profit margin. instead of just moving things quickly. And now I find that I'm paying more money for items that I think are just going to sell fast and for a good price, rather than buying things just because they're a great price and then watching them sit in my closet for a long time. And we can all get kind of caught up in that. I think that that's what I'm planning to do for my sales. So I'll be running Instagram sales. I'll be announcing sales here on YouTube. And for those of you who don't have much of a social media presence, if you do have an app like Posh or VA, you can send out those offers. And they also relist and delist. I don't relist and delist through Posh or VA. I do that through Vendoo. But Posh or VA offers so many valuable tools that I think are great for essentially creating a sale in your closet. A strategy that I used a long time ago, and I still think this would ring true, is I used to create like a little advertisement that said 50% off all sweaters or whatever in my Poshmark closet. And I would actually create a listing, and then I would just keep sharing that listing over and over throughout the day. I would share it like 50 times a day. I just lost my light. There we go. Why does that keep disconnecting? Okay, is that better? I lost my light for a second. Yeah, that's another strategy too, so that anybody who is shopping on Poshmark, if they come across your little ad, they'll see that you are having a sale. Let me know in the comments if you have a strategy for offering sale prices. Another thing that I'm going to do is just go bin by bin through all of my inventory and see which items are just ready to be put out to pasture. You know, maybe a particular item would do better at a consignment store. Maybe I think it will be great in a live auction setting. Maybe I just want to donate it. All right, this isn't good. My light just died. These are gonna be the things in a new setting that I'm getting used to. Now I really have to talk fast before the sun goes down. Okay, here is another comment from Chrissy. I love your what sold videos, grabbing, finding items in your cool basement setup. It's fun and I enjoy the purging process. I know, thank you. Thank you so much, Chrissy. I think there's something to be said for like actually like reaching in the bin and just knowing that something is leaving my inventory. When I do my what sold videos, where they're typically called ship and shop videos, where I like grab sales and talk to you about what the item is and what it sold for and that sort of thing, I feel like it's conversation based and it gives me something to do while I'm pulling the sale. So I really like that style. I don't know how I stumbled into that format of what sold, but I really do enjoy it. It's nice that somebody else is enjoying it too, so thank you. I don't know, I am definitely on my purge game lately. We got rid of a bunch of stuff over the weekend, but I'll talk about that at the end. I think what's happening right now is I'm combining comments and questions, and I feel like I wasn't supposed to do that. I'm gonna do this last comment or feedback, and then I'll move on to like official questions. This one I thought was so interesting. So I recently sold a dress by Antoni and Allison. It sold for $100, and it was signed on the inside of the dress. And I purchased it at an upscale consignment store, and everything in the store was $5. I've since gone back to that store twice and it's been closed. I don't know if it's ever going to reopen, but I'm very sad about it. But it sold for $100. I mentioned how it was signed in my video, and I wasn't sure if the dress came that way or if the designers actually signed it. They signed like the inside of the back of the dress, and they signed the liner. So SugarBomb26 said, you mentioned Antoni and Allison. The names immediately hit a nerve. I felt like they studied at the same college as me in London, and after a Google search, it transpired to be correct. They've been in business for 25 years, and they're a British design duo who went to St. Martin's School of Art. Thanks for bringing back fond memories of my college days. How cool is that? I loved that comment. Such a small world. I'd never heard of these designers before, and that's why I felt it was interesting to mention the name. I did look online. The retail on some of their silk dresses were $600 and $700, so I knew I had something of value, but it wasn't like a household name, so I didn't expect to sell it very quickly. I had it listed for $200 and it sold for $100 at the end of February, and I just thought that was so cool that someone who watched my video went to college with Antoni and Allison. I think now I'm going to move on to Q&A. Diva Ann Pinsky messaged me on YouTube, and she said, I've been watching you for a while now and see you doing sales on Posh. What's the secret to doing them? How do you do a BOGO? I love watching you. Thanks for all the inspiration. Oh my gosh, this is very similar to the last question that I mentioned, but this has some specific questions which I didn't touch on. So let's revisit this a little bit. When I do a BOGO sale, again, I put it on Instagram and I put it on social media. I say create a bundle in Poshmark, and then in the comments write BOGO. Sometimes I'll say write BOGO YouTube, so I'll know that you're from YouTube, or BOGO Instagram, just for my own reference to see like where I'm getting the most foot traffic from. Then I either send my buyer an offer for the higher price of the 2 items. I don't do discounted shipping, or in some cases my buyer will just do the math for me. And so say there's 4 items in the bundle, I will charge the highest price for the first item, the second highest price they'll get for free, the third price in the tier will be the next buy item, and then the item after that they'll get for free. So sometimes my buyers figure it out and they'll send me an offer. I just make sure everything lines up right and I'll accept the offer, or I'll send it to them. But that's how I do my BOGO sales. And the theory behind it is when I'm trying to move inventory, I just like to move at least 2 items at once for a sale price. And oftentimes it ends up being a great value to my customer, but I'm not always doing like 50% off. Like they might buy an item for $75 and get a 40 item for free, $40 item for free. So sometimes it works out, oftentimes it works out to be less than 50% off for me. I'm pretty sure that in this purging process that I'm approaching, I will probably just do a straight 50% off sale. It's much more straightforward. People can just do 1 item. I think it'll be great for people who are on more of a budget and they just want 1 item from my closet. And I'm curious to see how the sale results would go for something like that. I don't think Posh VA could do a BOGO sale, but they could certainly send out offers for whatever you want your sale to be. I do have a link for Posh VA, which I'll put in my description if you guys want to try it. Okay, this question is about hiring an employee. This is from Wendy. Hi Lori, I was wondering if you could help me or guide me in some way about how much I should pay or how much you pay your helper. I don't know if I pay by the hour or by each piece. I like how you do it. Maybe you could do a video on that, but please let me know. I need help big time, and I like the way you explain things. I know you don't have a lot of time, but I would appreciate any suggestions. Thank you, Wendy. I have received questions before about employees and hiring employees, so I thought this would be a good question to answer here. I have an assistant who works for me 10 hours a week, and I just upped that to 13 hours a week. She's going to do 3 hours virtually from her home now that she really knows my system well. She's been here since September. I'm filming this on March 9th, and she's going to do 10 hours in person. Tina is somebody I worked with at American Girl for 8 years, and I know her very well, and I knew her work ethic before I hired her. And she actually reached out to me when I mentioned in a video that I needed to hire someone because my college student, Caitlin, who I loved so much, went to college in Tennessee, and I knew I needed some assistance, and I was just getting buried. Because I juggle reselling and YouTube, it really cuts into my time with the back of house reselling stuff. And I just don't have the time because I put out 2 videos a week, and now I have my second channel, Time with Tata, so sometimes 3 videos a week. I just don't have time to do all the things that I used to do for my reselling business. Regarding pay, I pay Tina by the hour. I also pay Tina $5 more per hour than I did my students because I know the experience she brings to the table. She also worked at Lucky brand jeans for many years, so she has retail experience through Lucky and through American Girl, but she's always checking what my sales are, looking at my feedback. Like, she's just so hardworking, and like Tina runs circles around me. She's very efficient too, you know? So I knew that my relationship with Tina, I'm hoping, will be like a long-term thing. So I really wanted to invest in that. And I just think, you know, I paid Tina for her experience as opposed to what I would pay a student. But I do know people who pay by the item. That is another way to do it. If I was paying someone to do listings outside of my home, like say they came to my house and got a bin of clothes and they went home and they did it on their time, I would probably pay by the item and say, do it whenever you want. I just need it back at my house in a week, and however many you can get done is great, and I'm gonna pay you $3 per item or something like that. But I really think everybody's business needs are different. I think that it really comes down to like, where is your bottleneck in your business? For me, it was photographing items, getting the measurements in there, and then the actual process of inventorying my items. I'm pretty good at getting things listed, although you wouldn't think that with the amount of backlog I had with drafts, but we've learned a lot as we went along. So when Caitlin was here, sometimes I would say, don't even put a title, just get the pictures up there, I'll edit the photographs, and then you can put the measurements on and the fabric content, like all the essentials, and then I'll go back, I'll do the title, I'll adjust some of the pictures, and we'll go from there. Then we started using the app Photo Room, which removes the background from your pictures and it gives you that nice white background. So then Caitlin started to edit the photos a little bit for me. But now when I would go back into the photos, sometimes there's no title. There are some details that get lost along the way. So some of my old listings or my old drafts, I kind of need to just start over because I forget some of the details. And with Tina, she's really good about doing everything from start to finish. So she now will take the photographs, she'll edit the photographs and post them. And then I, in Vendoo, just adjust like the size and things like that. I'll maybe move the order around, or I'll zoom in on a certain part of the garment that I want to feature or draw attention to, maybe if there's a flaw or something. I set the price. I may add a little bit to the description or to the title. I try to punch a lot of keywords into that title, and then I will make it go live. Well, now Tina is now making things go live, and really all she needs from me now is my cost of goods and what I want to price an item at. I think Tina's worth her weight in gold, and I was also looking into having a virtual assistant do it, somebody who I could get through Upwork, I believe is the name of the company. I went as far as posting an ad and interviewing people, and I got really close in the process, and then I kind of backed out. That is much less expensive than having someone in person. And then even when I hired Tina, I thought she was going to be mostly virtual and just work on my drafts, but she wanted to be in person. That has proven to be so wonderful to just have her here. And as she gets to learn the ins and outs of my business, we're just being more and more and more productive. I also think it's really good to hire someone who might have a different set of skills than you have, right? Because as I talked about, my bottleneck was kind of in that efficiency category. I feel like I'm creative. I can press record and have a good old time in front of a camera. I love the sourcing aspect of it, obviously. I like doing my thumbnails and I love doing my videos and that sort of thing. But when it comes to like the back of house operations, I'm not the most efficient person. By hiring somebody who has that side of a brain better developed than me has been really great. So maybe you're a person, like I actually like to do the research on my stuff, but maybe you don't like to do the research. Maybe you can hire someone to do the research on your items and get all of the comps and maybe get some screenshots of stock photos if you choose to use stock photos in your listings, but then you want to take the photographs because you're very particular. Find somebody who likes to do the things that might not be your strong suit and go from there. But as far as pricing, I don't really want to talk too much about that because, you know, what I can afford to pay somebody is different than somebody else can afford to pay somebody. The cost of living in the Northeast is different than the cost of living in the middle of Tennessee or Hawaii. There are just too many variables to give like a one size fits all, but it has been fantastic for me to have an employee. We also recently just started paying for a payroll service, so there are some added costs. My husband is an accountant and he's very capable of doing the payroll thing, and he did it for a year, and I was physically writing checks and I was figuring out the math based on what the deduction was, federal, state tax, and it just got to be too much. And it was another thing that was on my plate that was taking time, and I didn't want to make an error. So we paid for a payroll service that will allow me to hire up to 5 people under the same plan. So say Caitlin's home for summer break and she wants to do a few projects for me, I can pay her for that. Or if somebody does some sourcing for me, I can write them a check and it's all, well, I don't write them a check. I can issue them a check through my company, and it's called Sure Payroll is the payroll service that I use. Sorry, my phone is going off here. So I hope I touched on some information that would be helpful for that question. The next question is from Tanya. Hi Lori, can you please help me? I just cross-listed some of my eBay items to Poshmark and I received an email from Poshmark stating that I'm missing the original price on my listings. We do estate sale cleanouts and 80% of our items are vintage, clothes, hard goods, toys, linens. How would you go about finding the original prices? I wanted to mention this because I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody before. For me, when I am doing my listings on Poshmark, it won't let me list the item until I put in an original price. Tanya sounds like she's a very honest soul. If I know the original price, if I can do a quick search on Google and get the original price, I will absolutely add the original price. But if I can't find the original price, I just put 0 because I don't think it should be a required thing of Poshmark. It's kind of a little pet peeve of mine, like, why is this here? I just did a video recently about, 3 items that were worth over $700 retail, but what were they really worth in the reseller market? Because I think that's something that we all struggle with. We find items and we're like, oh my gosh, this retails for $500. And then you check sold comps and the sold comps are like 30 bucks. And I think of brands like Splendid or All Saints. What are some of the other brands that have, BCBG, Max Osria? They have huge retail value, but that means nothing when you go, it doesn't mean nothing, but it's not always indicative of what your reseller price is going to be, what you can sell it for. So the fact that Poshmark requires it to me is kind of annoying, which is why I don't take it too seriously. If I have an item that I can get a quick original price for, I will include it. And if not, I just put 0. So to answer your question, Tanya, if you put just 0, it should still go live. It's very difficult when you're selling vintage items or obscure items to always find what the MSRP or the retail value is on something. So the fact that that is required to make a sale go live, but I'm unfamiliar with them sending an email. I just usually get it when I do my draft on Vendoo. If I don't put an original cost in original price, it will like highlight it in red. Like I can't make it go live until I go back. That's a required field on Poshmark. So if I know the price, I put it. If I don't, I put 0. Or sometimes if I want to do a ballpark, I will look at other people's listings and I'll look at 10 listings and see which one is listed the most and maybe use that as an original price or maybe shoot somewhere in the middle. Everybody takes that with a grain of salt, or at least most people do. So I just do the best I can, and if I can't find something, I put 0. This question is from Lila. Hi Lori, I hope you're having a good day. I'm from London, UK, and I am going to Orlando in just over a month. We really don't have anything like the Goodwill outlets here in the UK. I'm so interested in going for the experience, and also I thrift the majority of my clothing. Do you have a preference on the Orlando outlets, or are they all pretty much the same? I've only been to one of the Orlando outlets, and I will put the place here on the screen. It's called Taft. Does that sound familiar? I've only been to one outlet and I've been there twice. And in my experience, they have an absurd amount of inventory. Like the bins are stacked super, super high, but I haven't found like anything like crazy good. The first time I went, I did find an awesome, it was super heavy, but it was a vintage Levi's denim jacket and it was lined with buffalo plaid and like flannel, and it was heavy. It sold for $100. It was so good. And I always try to find something that's Disney oriented when I'm there to sell, just because it's fun. This past time I was there, I found a Mickey, it was a knockoff Mickey Mouse Gucci sweatshirt, and it was so cute. And I think my title was, If Only This Was Real, because there is a real version of that. But I, of course, got the knockoff one at the bins and then gave it to someone as a gift. I don't know of another one. If I do a little research once I hop off of here, I'll put it on the screen. Or if you're from the Orlando area and you know of another bins, let me know. I did go to bins, not in Orlando. I was visiting my brother in Naples, Florida, and there was one in Fort Myers that I went to, but that's a few hours from Orlando. They do have a fair amount of Goodwills in general, but as far as outlets go, that's the one that I went to, and it was a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy your trip to Orlando, and I hope you get a chance to go to the bins. All right, so this is my tip of the week. Because I didn't write down what the actual question was in my notes. I just wrote Sharpie on the bottom of shoes. I have 2 things that I do when I see the Sharpie marks or the price on the bottom of a shoe. sometimes I do nothing. But if I'm feeling ambitious, these are the two things I do. I have that little spray that's called Goo Gone or Gooby Gone, and it's a very like oily. You got to be careful with it that it doesn't like drip onto the side of your shoe. So unless it's a really big sole of a shoe or it has like a lot of crevices in it, I don't spray it right on because it can dribble onto the side, and then that can be a whole host of other problems. But I will spray it onto a washcloth or even a paper towel. I often spray it right onto a baby wipe because I always have baby wipes in every room that I'm doing any sort of like cleaning or working with my thrift stuff to get little marks off. So I'll spray it right onto a baby wipe and then wipe it right off. It comes right off the sole of the shoe with that Goo Gone. If I don't have that or I'm in a pinch, like at Goodwill, they'll have like the color, it will say Y and then like 12.99. I will turn the period, the dot, into a 1. So it just looks like some random number and people don't necessarily realize that I spent $12.99. It will say 121.99, and then it doesn't really make sense. But sometimes I don't have the right Sharpie that matches whatever color they put. It's usually black or it's like a silver Sharpie in my experience. So I just make that period, like I put a line through it and then it looks like a random bunch of numbers. And those are my 2 tips for dealing with stuff on the bottom of a shoe. Sometimes you might get lucky and it wipes off with something gentler, but usually they're using Sharpies. Let me know if you have any tips on that, but that is just my little tip of the week. So flip of the week. I just had one thing that sold today that was a great flip and I was really excited. I guess it was yesterday and I talked a little bit about it in a previous video, but I wanted to talk about this too because it is also a brand that I'm pretty unfamiliar with. So I thought it might be good, since I'm not doing a deep dive, to at least talk about this brand and how it did for sale. The brand is O-I-S-E-L-L-E. Oiselle, am I saying that right? It is like an outdoor sporting type of brand. Oiselle is dedicated to creating sisterhood through sport. It's in our DNA and at the core of everything we do. What we know is that it's never too late or too early to have a group of women who show up for each other on the roads and in life. Oh my gosh, what a great motto. They're committed to human rights, animal welfare, and reducing our environmental impact as much as possible. Who knew? I didn't know any of this. The founder her name is Sally Bergensen. Okay, so I sold a jacket from this company that I saw at a thrift store, and it was just $1. It was a fill-a bag, and I think I filled the bag with like 13 items. I gave a little bit more at the register, but I think my price was between like 75 cents and $1.50, something like that, really inexpensive. And then I started researching just the comps. I wasn't researching the company, but I did see that it had some really impressive comps. So I priced it at $75. The sleeves were dark teal. It was like a track jacket, like a fitted, you know, zip up. And then when I stepped back from it, I don't even know that I realized it when I was at the store. It had the stitching of a bird flying, which is their logo, but it was all stitched into the front of the jacket, which I thought was really cool. So I priced it at $75, and yeah, it got a fair amount of likes, and I sent offers. I sent 20% off, which was $60 with discounted shipping. I think I went as low as like $52 or $49 and no bites. And on eBay and Poshmark, I sent offers all over the place. And then yesterday I got an offer for $63 and I was so excited. It's been around not too long, but I was starting to get to the point like, did I overprice this? You know, it's a new brand to me. The comps looked really promising. You know how you second guess yourself and you're like, should I have just marked this lower? And then it ended up selling for $63 and I just shipped it out today. So that is a fantastic sale to me because the profit margin was so big. I also sold today for $75, and this is not my flip of the week, but I just want to share it with you in contrast because I sold a Gunny Sacks vintage top that I bought when I was out shopping with my girlfriends out in Western Mass, and I found this, well, my girlfriend Kim found it in a shop. I paid $48 for it because I wanted to support the local shop, and I knew I could probably make a little bit of money on it, but I listed it for $100, and when it was first listed, I received a $70 offer right away, like within hours, and I countered at like 90 and they declined. And of course, what do you think happened? It's been sitting ever since, and that was the end of January, so it's been about a month and a week or two. So maybe, you know, 6 weeks this has been listed. Today I got an offer for $75, which I did accept. And after fees, I was down to $60 and I paid $48 for it. So my profit was just $12. And so you think, wow, gunny sacks, a $75 sale, but my profit was only $12. I made more money on like a J. Jill sweater that I sold. I think I made $16 profit. I sold it for $26. I paid about $1.25, but nobody gets excited about like a J. Jill sweater. Well, at least I don't always get excited about it. I think it's important to know like what you pay for it, to check out those profit margins. That Antony and Allison dress, that wasn't this past week, but that did sell for $100 and I just paid $5 for it. So that profit was really good. That sold on Poshmark, I believe. But the biggest sale and the biggest profit was the American Girl doll that sold, that I did an entire video on. And my thumbnail just said, oh no, because I initially sent it to the wrong place and it was this huge ordeal. So I decided to do my own video because that was literally my flip of the week, but it could potentially also be my flop of the week if it didn't get to the person. And as we speak, I required a signature and they've been to the house twice and they didn't sign for it yet. So I just checked eBay today. So I'm stressing out again with my fingers crossed. Like, is that going to get shipped back to me? Like, what's going to happen if they're not there? Or do they just hold it at the post office and then that person has to go pick it up? It was an American Girl doll that sold for $575 with tax and shipping. My buyer paid $633. I paid $250. So after fees, it came to like $503 or $502. So I made about $250. I also paid tax, so maybe a little bit less than $250, but that was the biggest flip of the week, but it was also a big investment and it hasn't been accepted yet. So I can't talk about that as being my best flip until it actually goes through. So now for a couple flops. So one official flop this week was, this wasn't really a flop, but it was a sale that I had to cancel. And it was on a Michael Kors bathing suit. I also talked about this in my last video, but I didn't have the information when the video went live. So I think I just wrote a note. But it was a bathing suit that I had listed and I purchased it because it was just like $1 or $2 at some sort of a rummage sale, or I don't know where I got it. It was a Michael Kors like cutout bathing suit, really pretty, white with like black on the side, really cool. I think I had it listed for $25 and I got a $20 offer, which I jumped on because it didn't have a size. We provided measurements, but a bathing suit without a size is kind of tough to sell. So I accepted it. And then when I went to ship it on eBay, it was highlighted in red, like there could be a problem here shipping. I didn't have global shipping turned on and they lived out of the country. And so I had to fill out a form for customs, and for a $20 sale, it just wasn't worth it to me. So I messaged my buyer, I explained the situation and I said, you know, I can delist it and relist it and sell it to you for the same price and I'll turn on global shipping, or, you know, you can cancel the order. But global shipping ends up costing your buyer a lot more, but it's a super safe way for you to ship internationally on eBay, and that's something that Poshmark doesn't offer. And it's my bad because I don't have it set up as like a default to global shipping, and it's been on my to-do list for a year. So I just need to do that. So my buyer did reach out and said, no problem, just cancel the order. So I just relisted it. It was a little bit of a flop, and it's not even so much that the flop was that I had to cancel it. My flop is that I turn on global shipping. It's like an easy thing to do, and I'm just lazy and I'm bad with the back door of eBay. We are going to talk now about some updates in my life. The sun is going down and my battery is dying, so I'm going to try to make this quick, and we are going to have our first official video out, and then I'm going to clean up all my errors as we go, and eventually this will be a very polished Thriftcast. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll invite some guests and do all that fun stuff. Is that telling me my temperature is hot now? Hold on. Okay, so it is March 9th, and what's new? What's new in my life? Really, the focus of a lot of things lately has been about my dad. We made the very difficult decision to call hospice in. We first were doing like a bridge to hospice because he was still receiving treatment for the calcium that was going into his blood as a result of the cancer. It's been something we've had to do throughout his journey. My dad was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2020. He was given the all clear. He had a procedure done. They said, we got everything, it's all good. No need for chemo, no need for radiation. He didn't even have an oncologist. The head of thoracic surgery at a local hospital did his surgery. He started having pains in August, went to a couple doctors, was advised that it was not cancer because he got an all clear because he was going for scans every 6 months as he was supposed to. Finally, the pain went to his back. His primary care sent him for an MRI, and the cancer was in his bones. It was really far along. So we found out he had stage 4 lung cancer that had metastasized to his bones. And we had our first meeting at Dana-Farber. We switched hospitals. We got into Dana-Farber on December 20th. I've shared a little bit about this story with you guys already. He's been going for treatment. He only ended up doing 1 round of chemotherapy. When we went in for his 2nd round, the chemo nurse looked at him and thought he was just too weak for it. So it was at that point we decided to stop that treatment. He did do a round of radiation, which helped. He also had the vertebrae on his back bonded because it had shattered from the tumors that were pressing on it. My poor dad, it's been absolutely heartbreaking. I have like apologized to my friends who have lost parents to cancer because I just never knew how hard it was to go through it the day to day, to watch my mom, who's his caretaker. She's been incredible. She's been under a lot of stress. She doesn't sleep a lot. My brother's been amazing. He lives in Florida. He comes up. So we did the bridge, and then even that option wasn't the best one for my dad. So we started full hospice yesterday, which was a very sad day, but also comfort to the family because hospice is just, you know, they can be so helpful. So I've been trying to record videos when I'm having a good day, when I wake up and shower and feel good. And I've been kind of cluster recording them. And then like when I'm at my dad's, sometimes I'll edit videos or things like that. I'm actually leaving today to spend the night there so my mom and my brother can sleep. But we're all hands on deck right now. It's March 9th. This moved really quickly, and I just thank you guys so much. Everyone's been so incredible. And I feel bad like this is my update, but this is my update. This has been my life. My husband's father is doing much better, which is great. My kids are all healthy, knock on wood. I think we're going to end up either postponing or canceling our trip to Spain, which was supposed to happen at the end of this month. But you know, that's life, and everybody goes through this at some point. And I have some really good days and I have some really bad days, but I try to just keep moving forward. We have our eyes set on a puppy, and I'm very focused on my dad getting to meet this puppy. My dad had a nickname in the 70s and 80s. He used to have dart tournaments in the basement, and it was called Lumpy's Lounge. So we're thinking about Lumpy for our new puppy, and thank you to everybody who made suggestions about adopting. I know there are a lot of passionate people, and I respect that. I've even had some really incredible people reach out and offer puppies to me who are hypoallergenic because my husband has pretty severe allergies to like pet hair, so cockapoos have worked for us. But I am going in the direction of getting a puppy that is close to my dad, so my dad can get to meet him before it's too late, and that's what's important to my family. I hope to get a rescue someday, and that's where we're at. It's been a very empty, quiet house without kids and without a dog, so I'm looking forward to a little furry love in my life to brighten my days and just get me moving. I've been sitting too much too on the couch. Oh, the other thing that is new for me, and I plan on doing a video for this on my second channel, I've been doing Noom, and I really, really like it. I've lost 8 pounds in, I think it's 1 month, maybe 5 weeks, maybe 4.5. It's not any sort of a program that I've ever done before. It requires like daily reading, a daily weigh-in, but it's also not like overly structured. No foods are off limits. It's pretty liberating. My husband's doing it too, and he of course is losing weight at a much more rapid pace than me. Sorry, I'm like out of the frame, but I'm really excited about it. And once I hit 10 pounds lost, I'm going to do a review on my other channel. But that has been a source of it just makes me feel good, like to have some structure in my life, because there's so many things that are out of my control right now. It's also encouraged us, like we purged our kitchen. We filled 2 massive bins full of like pots and pans and glassware and stuff we're not using and cups at Savers, and my kitchen cabinets are beautiful. And then Jay separately went through like the cabinets with notebooks and markers and all that, and we got rid of a ton more. So I've been really feeling this energy around purging and new beginnings, and I don't know, it's just probably a phase in my life, and I've I haven't been like going out and about too much because of everything going on with my family. So it's been really nice to just spend some time looking into my house and what needs to be done here. My battery's gonna run out, but I did bring a pen to show you. This is a Leonardo Fiore Grande. This is a fountain pen that Jay gave me for Valentine's Day. He bought it at a shop in Boston and I love it so much. If you're at all interested in fountain pens, suddenly I've turned into I don't know what. Fountain pens have been fantastic for me. I journal every single day. I've been doing morning pages, which is, what are morning pages? It is a practice. Morning pages are mentioned in the book An Artist Way, but it's where you write for 3 pages every single day and it's just stream of conscious on paper first thing in the morning before you fire up your computer. Sometimes I look at my computer for a couple minutes, but I usually grab my coffee, sit on my couch, pick a fountain pen, a beautiful fountain pen, and I write for 3 pages. Some days 2, depending on how things are going. But I have written over 160 pages in like a 5x7 notebook since January 1st. And I believe that that has kept me grounded and sane. And every day I pick a different fountain pen. So I figured in all of these little Thriftcasts, I would share with you one of my beautiful fountain pens. I just did a video on my entire collection, my entire fountain pen collection. I'm sorry, I think that went out of focus. That might be a little better. And it's just so much fun. Writing, journaling, fountain pens, playing with ink, listening to pencast videos about fountain pens. I don't know if this is just a phase in my life because of everything that's going on with my dad. It's just kind of like something totally unrelated that I can like think about and have fun with, or if this is something that will stay with me for a very long time, but I'm having a really good time. And I've gotten away from planning because I can't plan for much because my life right now is day to day, depending on how my dad's doing, if he's having a good day, if my mom's having a good day. I have gotten away from planning and I've gotten more into journaling. And I believe it is the best form of free therapy that is out there. Just kind of getting my thoughts out. I don't even go back and read my stuff. I just write and it's been great. So let me know if you are a daily writer and what it does for you. But I think that's it. I think that concludes my very first Thriftcast episode. My lighting was weird. I didn't do a deep dive. I stumbled a little bit, but I hope you found this informative, maybe a little entertaining.